your loved one were dying, would you deny them health care? I know you guys would say probably not, but what if I asked you, if a prisoner were dying, would you deny them health care? Now you're probably changing your answers, but what if your loved one was one of those prisoners? My father went to prison with stage 1 colon cancer and came out 2.5 years later with stage 4 cancer spread throughout his entire body. I believe this was due to neglect within the prison system, and I'm here to persuade you guys to care about the level of health care received by prisoners and to rally for a change. I have 3 main reasons why you should care about this. Number 1, prisoners are released from prison for lack of resources. Number 2, healthcare makes for an easier transition of prisoners to society. And number 3, the prisoners are actually protected under the 8th Amendment from cruel and unusual punishment. Reason 1, prisoners are released for lack of resources. My dad was actually released after 2.5 years of his 6-year sentence because the jail didn't want to pay for the healthcare needed to treat his cancer. This poses a huge threat to society, not only because rapists and murderers can be released, but also because of gang activity. The gang members have way more resources outside of jail and can relay them to the inside to cause more gang activity. This also undermines judicial decisions. It makes people think that they can take advantage of our judicial system and get out of jail early just for health complications. It's also a slap in the face to victims because people who are convicted of major crimes can get out after serving only a portion of their sentence if they're sick. This is also a burden to families of the prisoners. It causes unexpected costs when they get released and puts stress on the families to pay for the health care. When my dad was released, my grandparents were planning for their retirement, and they now work 40 hours a week to pay for his chemo and radiation. They also have to drive him back and forth to his doctor's appointments and keep up on all of his medications. The second reason that you should care about the healthcare in prison systems is it makes for an easier transition into everyday life for these prisoners. If they were kept up to date with shots, it would cause them to not spread diseases when they get out of jail. It makes it a lot easier for them to catch the flu. They also don't keep up to date with their HIV treatments in jail, and it's not safe when they get released. They have so many health complications when they get out. So it will prevent the spread of diseases, and it can also help these prisoners prepare for jobs. When they get out, a lot of jobs require certain vaccinations that these prisoners could already have and could make the job process a lot quicker and help these prisoners contribute to society. This could also help with mental health. The prisoners could receive counseling when they are in prison, and I would much rather have a person released from prison who has undergone mental counseling than someone who has sat in a jail cell and stared at a wall. They're very unpredictable when they get out, especially if they have no one to talk to about their struggles. It could also prevent addiction. If you receive drug and alcohol rehabilitation while in jail, it could prevent prisoners from seeking drugs upon their release, therefore bringing the drug epidemic way down. And the third reason is because of the 8th Amendment. Prisoners are protected from cruel and unusual punishment under the 8th Amendment. The lack of health care in prison can prolong your disease and basically give you a prolonged death, which is definitely considered cruel and unusual punishment. This also creates easy targets while in jail. I know for my dad, he told me because he was so weak and vulnerable from his cancer, he was targeted a lot when he was in prison, and it just isn't a safe place for people to be who are very sick. It also can prolong your sentence essentially because it could turn a minor sentence into a death sentence if you don't receive the proper health care. Even if you get out of jail, just like with my dad, he now has stage 4 and he's fighting death every day, and that would not have happened if we had better health care while in prison. So in conclusion, the neglect in prison has detrimental effects on not only the prisoners, but their families and our society as a whole. And I believe the prison healthcare system needs to be reformed, but that change cannot happen until people become educated and aware. So I think we should all rally for the reform of healthcare in prison. Thank you.
Oh, we got a pan.
Awesome.